One. Time to shine today, podcast Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and not too often do I get to interview somebody that's literally a neighbor. She rocks the whole South Florida region, helping people level up. Her name's Sydnee Newman. She's a graduate of the University of Florida. Go Gators, chomp chomp. They're in the swamp. I had an awesome experience there in the swamp a couple times. She's a National Academy of Sports Medicine certified personal trainer, a StrongFirst certified Kettlebell Strength Instructor, and a certified and registered yoga teacher. Sydnee helps others achieve their goals, mind, body, and soul by offering a well-balanced, customized, holistic approach through one-on-one training, both in person and virtually. She loves to always be a student, a lifelong student, continue to learn and educate herself. She's a featured speaker all around here in South Florida. In the Jupiter, kind of Palm Beach Gardens area, but she's ready to make the leap also onto other stages, which we're going to set her up with. Moderation is her motto. She can't preach that louder. She's proud to be a resource for her friends, family, colleagues to develop a work-life balance, eat well, and live a healthy lifestyle that's not just temporary, but will shift your overall happiness. And a fun fact about Sydnee is, like, if you look at her, you'd be like, man, she's a beautiful woman if you're watching her, but she's a black belt in Taekwondo, so she'll whip your ass. All right, so anyways, let me bring on my really good friend, Sydnee Newman from SN Fitness, and I have you introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. But first, Sydnee, what's your favorite color and why?
Ooh, good question. My favorite color is purple, like a deep eggplant purple. It just lights me up. It's a little bit feminine. It's strong. That's my favorite.
And it's royal and regal.
Exactly.
Just like you rock it. And I love it. I love it. So Sydnee, like, I know you personally kind of, right? And I know that you're pretty well put together in both body and mind, but let's get to the roots of what you had maybe shift you in to the lifestyle business and, you know, how you came to the need and want to help others level up.
Yeah, good question. I will do my best to make a super long story short. But I worked in the corporate world for many years. I have a journalism degree, and I woke up one morning and I was unfulfilled. I was supporting others who got to really help people. And I was like, wait a second, I'm supporting them, but what am I giving back to the world? How am I helping people? So I went back to the drawing board and I thought about, what do I love to do? What do I gravitate toward, or what do people gravitate toward me for? And I realized that the health and wellness space was my true passion. And within the industry, I could always challenge myself, but always be helping somebody new with some sort of new challenge. So I really just turned my life upside down. And the more deeply I get into it, the more I love it.
I love that. That's an awesome way to condense a story, because over coffee you told me the whole thing and you just rock those cliff notes, but I think everybody gets it because you're born for more, and not just you're watching other people help others level up, but you weren't feeling fulfilled. And I love your transparency there. So what do you think makes a great health and wellness coach or lifestyle person?
Good question. So first and foremost, they have to love what they do. If they're not passionate and they're moving through the motions every day, then they're never going to be great. Secondly, they have to continue their education. They're always growing their mind, and therefore they can continue helping new people in new ways.
Love it. And yeah, because there's so many trends that kind of come across in, quick hit fixes and stuff like that in the fitness world. And we need people like you out there to disseminate what's real and what's junk. Right. And so you're telling, you got to level up not only your own body, but you got to stay in tune with that latest fad and make sure people understand it's a journey and enjoy the journey. Right.
100%. I mean, social media has really messed with our minds, and we have to remember that every booty we see online is not necessarily real. That's all I'm going to say for that one.
Ain't that the truth? And Scott, if you go over to Sydnee's IG, and if she lets you in, like, you'll see that she's a real person. She's absolutely out there crushing it and making it happen and loving people along the journey. So when you're working with someone one-on-one, Sydnee, which I know you do a lot of, and you're booked to the gills, and that's awesome. But when you're working with someone one-to-one, during that discovery period, what is some of your secret sauce to maybe help them locate their blind spot?
Yeah, what a great question. It's different for everybody, to be honest. As a teacher, you really have to feed off of your audience and read your audience. So people come to me all the time for different reasons. A lot of times their goals will be one thing, and I will notice a need for improvement somewhere else. So the first time I meet somebody, I sit down, I chat with them. I look at what their lifestyle is. I look at what physical activity they currently have. I ask them what their goals are. And then I do a quick movement assessment. I move them through a flow of movements, both strength and flexibility, mobility focused. And from there, I can notice spots in the body that are maybe imbalanced or areas for improvement, areas for strength building. So I take that information that I gather on my own, plus the information that they give me, and combine it for a customized program.
I freaking love that, because you are not only listening, asking powerful questions to make them think, and not only listening with your ears, but also the other nonverbal things you could be picking up on to find that blind spot then. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, totally. Not everybody realizes everything that they truly need. We all want things, but sometimes we need additional things too. And there's a very fine line to work with somebody and give them what they want, as well as what they need, in an enjoyable, challenging, fun way.
Love it. I love it. And then you made it fun. Fun is huge in this, because you live in the lifestyle, which I live as well. It can be monotonous. But as long as you're keeping it fun and you have someone like you to help them level up, they've got to take responsibility for their own actions. And about responsibility, Sydnee, what is your definition of responsibility?
Ooh, I think accountability. So responsibility means you're holding on to something that someone else can rely on. So I'm responsible for others when they're in my care for that hour of training. I'm responsible for making sure that they move safely, that they're enjoying their time, that whatever outside factors are maybe involved with that hour of time, that they're separating from that and not letting it get in their way.
I love that. And, you know, my mentor always told me that responsibility is the ability to respond. And what you just said, it's rooted right in the word. Right. And you just said to be accountable, and I love the transparency you're giving me. So what do you think your strengths are, Sydnee?
My strengths are to be able to pivot quickly. I'm definitely a planner. I'm super organized. That comes from my whole corporate background. And so I'm super grateful for that. And I definitely apply that, but I also have to be able to take all of my knowledge and switch it up on the fly. If somebody comes in and they're like, you know what, my back's a little off today, I don't know if I'm up for deadlifting. So we have to switch on the fly and still give them what they need and what they want in a fun way, but switch it up that will be specific to what they're experiencing in that moment.
And it's why you're a great coach, mentor, personal trainer, is because you're open to new things, if depending on the mood, the energy. And I love that. So thank you. So we got you there. So what extent do you think you appreciate your strengths?
I think every day I appreciate it more. You know, sometimes it's tough to be confident and to acknowledge your gifts and acknowledge your strengths and acknowledge that there's always room for improvement. But as a woman, sometimes that confidence is hard. I definitely work in a man's world. So you've got testosterone around all of the time, and you have experts around all the time. There's always somebody smarter than you in the room. And so I have to remind myself, Sid, you're great at what you do. You're continuing to learn so you can continue to be great at what you do. And so sometimes we have to remind ourselves every day.
Self-talk's everything, right? I mean, you have to.
Words are so important.
It's huge. So, and especially if you verbalize them, you know, like, you know, you can think a negative thought, and it's been proven that if you think a negative thought, there's probably a 30% chance that it's going to come true. If you verbalize it, it goes up to 60 or 70. Like, oh, I'm fat 100%. Or I feel like shit. You know, it just will. And I love that you can pivot on the fly. That's fantastic. So to what extent then does Sydnee, how should I say this, like, appreciate your limitations?
Oh, well, on the flip side of what I just said, I really appreciate my limitations, which is why I'm always continuing to grow my mind, grow my education. I know that there's always room for improvement. There's always something new to learn. That's what I love about the industry, right? There's always a new school of thought coming out. And really, the only wrong way to do something is if you hurt somebody. There are so many right ways to do something in this industry, and people are creating new devices, new schools of thought all the time. So you have to stay up on that.
Yeah.
And so I understand that I don't know everything and I will never know everything.
Sure.
So you have to know those limitations and be open-minded to new things. Somebody coming in asking, why are you doing it that way? Have you ever tried it this way? And instead of being closed-minded, try it. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work.
Right. Love it. So when you're starting to work with somebody, Sydnee, is there any good question that you wish they would ask you but never do?
Well, I love when people ask me why. Mm-hmm. I'll have them do something, I'll teach them a new movement, and it's really hard. And they're like, why am I doing this? What does this do for me? Actually, I'll have people do a carry with too heavy, kettlebells or dumbbells. And they're like, why are you making me do this? I love the question why, and I don't get it often enough because I love to explain to them the reason that we're doing this and all of the areas that it will affect them in this moment of training, but also throughout the rest of their life, whether it's posture, core tension, how they breathe. So the question why, I wish everyone would ask.
Love it.
And on the flip side of that, every trainer should be able to answer why to every movement they ask somebody.
Yeah, you better. If you're putting them through, because you just said that you can hurt people if you're not careful.
Oh, yeah.
So I had a question, and it hasn't come to me how I want to ask you, but I'm going to ask you this. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
Yes.
Okay, let's get in that DeLorean with Marty McFly. Let's go back to the 18-year-old Sydnee. Okay.
Oh, geez.
What kind of knowledge?
I don't know if we want to do that.
What kind of knowledge nuggets? That's what we call them here at Time to Shine today. What kind of knowledge nuggets would you be dropping on 18-year-old Sydnee to maybe help her level up, blast through, and maybe shorten a little bit of that learning curve?
I would tell her your comfort zone will kill you. If you don't step out of that comfort zone, you won't grow. You have to push yourself to continue to try new things. And when you feel nervous about trying something new, push ahead.
Right. I remember the question. Do you find yourself wanting to be fired by your clients eventually?
Some of them, yes.
Okay.
What an interesting question.
I'm not talking about in a negative way, but getting them so leveled up they don't need Sydnee.
100%. Yeah. They say that the best leader is one who can lead someone that uplifts themselves so much that they go on to do bigger and better things outside of that leader. I look at myself like that. The thing about training, though, and pivoting on the fly is sometimes someone will come to me for a specific issue, a running imbalance, for example, and we'll fix that. And then we switch the goals. So they allow themselves to continue to work with me because they're continuing to grow and change their perspective. So that client, for example, might be with me for many years and she can go off safely on her own, but we're continuing to do new things all the time.
Because
but if somebody, go for it. Sorry.
You're picking up on their limitations also. Meaning like you get them right, like deadlifts, they nail it, right? But now the hip flexors are just off. We need to make sure those hip flexors are right. So you're picking up on their limitations. They're noticing them. That is a sign of a fantastic trainer. I've owned Time to Shine, fitness in Detroit, Michigan for years. And I always said, work yourself to get fired, but also pick up new steps along the way. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
It's like, I love it. Dude, that is awesome that you're open.
The biggest success would be somebody getting to those levels and then maybe they don't train with me as often and I trust them and they trust themselves to go train on their own separately as well.
Love
in
it.
A different kind of way. Yeah.
Beautiful. So how do you want your dash remembered, Sydnee? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date. Hopefully it's a long time away, but your life date and death date on your tombstone. How do you want your dash remembered, Sid?
I want to be remembered as someone who really cares about others and has helped someone else be a better person for themselves and for their family.
I love it. And then along the way, enjoying that whole journey, right? Enjoy the freaking journey, man.
Enjoy the journey. You have to.
In fitness, it gets harder. I'm coming up on 50 years old. And I'm not going to getting up is a lot harder than it was before. Like 32 is a lot easier for me to swing my legs out of bed and fire up. You know, now it's like I swing my legs off, let the synovial fluid sit there, right, and get right, and then I get going. I'm sorry, age, no matter how much yoga I do, no matter how much whatever I do to keep myself leveled up, you got to keep up with it. I love your transparency there. So what do you think people misunderstand the most about Sydnee?
I would probably think it's less so now than it was in the corporate world, but I think people's first impression sometimes is that I can be a little uptight because I'm very to the point. I'm very organized. I'm a planner, and I know that I have those moments, but it comes from such a place of care, and sometimes over caring, that sometimes it translates as being a little extra.
You could be almost like known, because I've watched you train people before, you know, remember? And so it's like, I wonder if people look at her like the hammer and everyone's a nail. You know what I'm saying? Which I know you as a person, but maybe people can every once in a while.
And you have experienced me with specific clients in the past who really needed that hammer.
Oh yeah, they did.
And so I don't always give the hammer, for the record, to everyone.
Right.
This is what I was mentioning before, right? You really have to read your audience.
You
and
do.
I have to shift who I am with every single person. Some people need a soft, coddling perspective. Others need to be, you know, they need me to be a drill sergeant because that's how they're going to get motivated. That's how they're going to get the work done.
Right.
So I have to shift, and you've experienced me super tough, which I can be, but
it's all good. You have to be. You know, what I love about you is you can be the right horse for almost every course. Like when I coach people, you know, executive coaching, I don't take on a lot of people because there's a certain way that I coach, where you are different in the fitness world, which is a whole different world. You know, with fitness, is that you're open to interpretation and open to changing things as you go along. And that's a phenomenal trait that you must have. And that's awesome. So then what keeps Sydnee up at night?
You know, just the ever-changing, dealing with new people. Usually when I get a new client, I get a little anxious about working with them because you never know what you're going to get. But I think that what keeps me up is just continuing to go. In this industry, there are zero guarantees. Although it's so important for your health to move, to have proper nutrition, it is not looked at as a necessity. So if someone shifts their goals outside of health and wellness, they never prioritize health and wellness, right? So getting the new boat sometimes gets priority, and so their budget gets cut, and they're like, oh, I don't need you anymore. And so that's the most anxious thing. I could have a full book of business today and not tomorrow, and it's just part of the reality, but it's also part of what drives me forward. I also want to touch on something that you just said, if you don't mind. You mentioned I can work with anybody. While I love and so appreciate that, I will be the first to say that I'm not. And it's so important to realize that not every coach is the right fit for everyone. I have a very specific way of training. I might be able to deal with anybody personality wise, but if you're looking to be a competitive bodybuilder, you're know how to help you grow your muscles, but I'm probably not the person, you know? So I like to be the first to say that I know I am not the perfect fit for everyone, but I do my best to rise to the occasion with those that I do work with as they shift and change and grow.
Love it. I love it that you're real with yourself. And not just, you know, an end all be all like some people out there. So what then is Sydnee's definition of a life well lived?
Balance, right? You said at the very beginning, I preach moderation. It's true. You have to practice what you preach. And so I do my best to do that, to have balance, to have moderation. A life well lived is one that you enjoy what you do for work, and it doesn't feel like work, even though you're working really hard. And you have an even balance of social, playtime, rest. So you're enjoying your off time, but you're also enjoying the hard work that helps you pay your bills.
Right. So you get after it, but you also take your little daily sabbaticals and make sure that you get your mind clear, you know, and it's funny, like you say balance and I say harmony. Like, it's like, that's just the difference, because balance to me is zero. right? Where harmony, I liken it to like a jazz band. I love jazz, right? And like your family and relationships could be the drums. Your money could be the horns. Your business could be the guitar. And if one of them is out of whack, it sounds like shit. You know what I'm saying?
I'm going to steal that. I love
yeah.
it. It's a way better way to put it than balance, because people have a perception of what that means. And sometimes it's like, well, I can't do that.
Right.
Harmony. Love it.
And I got it from James Arthur Ray in a speech that he gave years ago, and I credit him with it. And it's true. That's how I've lived since probably 2004, is finding harmony in anything. Because if I try to find balance, it's just like I don't believe in winners and losers. I want everything just to flow. You know, that's just, unless I'm competing, and then that's different. So then let's take out of this equation your cell phone, your tablet, your computer, anything electronic.
Okay.
What are 3 things that Sydnee cannot live without?
Well, my cat. I know that sounds so nerdy, but my little baby, she's my little companion. You know, she's been with me for almost 10 years. And when I'm down or not believing in myself, she's always there. I also have a ton of plant babies. I'm a total green thumb plant nerd. I have a huge patio garden, so I can't live without that. And of course, my family and my spouse, who I include as part of my family. You can't do anything without a solid, supportive family. And family doesn't necessarily mean mom and dad always. It's the family that you make. So it's your spouse, it's your closest friends.
Love it, love it, love it. You have to have that. It's a life well lived for sure. And squad, we are going to take my good friend Sydnee Newman here through our Leveling Up Lightning Round just as soon as we get back from thanking our sponsors and affiliates. Time to Shine Today podcast Varsity Squad. We are back with my good friend Sydnee, my neighbor kind of actually here in South Florida. And Sydnee, we are going to take you through our Leveling Up Lightning Round. You and I could talk an hour easily about each one of these questions, but you got 5 seconds with no explanations. You ready to rock?
Oh, geez. I will try.
Let's do this. What is the best leveling up advice Sydnee's ever received?
Your comfort zone will kill you.
Yes. Share one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
Planning ahead.
Yeah. Other than your website, which I'm going to say it out loud here, but don't go there yet, people. SydneeNewman.com. And her name is Sydnee. It'll be in the show notes. You go there and visit. Other than your website, and of course, TimeToShineToday.com, my shameless plug. What website does Sydnee like to go to level up?
TheFootCollective.com.
Love it. We'll have to put that in the show notes, brother. Awesome. So you see me like, man, Fergie's just not looking right. He's in his doldrums a little bit. What book are you handing me?
I'm handing you 2 books. First book is How to Be an Imperfectionist by Stephen Geist. And the other is Breathe by James Nestor.
Great, both phenomenal reads. Sydnee, what is your most commonly used emoji when you text?
The winky kissy face.
Gotcha. New Year's resolution, if any?
I'm out of my 5 seconds. New Year's resolution. Get more consistent with my nutrition. Practicing what I'm preaching.
Chess or checkers?
Checkers.
Love it. Favorite charity and or organization you like to give your time or money to?
There's several, so this is hard. Probably Quantum House here in West Palm.
Beautiful. It is a great place. Last question. You can elaborate a little bit on this, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
80s. I love the 80s.
Really?
Everything about the 80s.
Big hair, don't care. I love it. I love it. Sydnee, how can we find you, love?
You can find me on social media. Facebook, look me up, Sydnee Newman. I'm there. Instagram, Sydnee Jane Fitness, 2 E's, Jaine. And my website, as you mentioned before, SydneeNewman.com.
Awesome. And squad, that'll all be in the show notes. And Sydnee, do me one last favor and leave us with one last knowledge nugget we can take with us, internalize, and take action on.
You can only help others and take care of others if you take care of yourself first.
Love it. And it starts with your temple, right? I mean, got to take care of that body. And squad, we have just had an awesome discussion, actually kind of a free masterclass with the knowledge nuggets my good friend Sydnee dropped. She was kind of part of the corporate rat race life, and she wanted to really help level up. So she turned to the health and wellness and helping you level up in that aspect along with your mindset. She's actually crushing it. A coach, she feels, has to love what they do. They walk that talk. They're always leveling up. They're always taking their knowledge to the next level with what's going on, because fads come and go. They stay to what's true, and they will help you and guide you to level up. She's somebody that plans stringently, but she can pivot quickly. And I love that she does that. And also, when you're working with your trainer, ask them why you're doing a specific movement. Don't be annoying about it with every single one, but if something's hitting you a different way and it really sparks your interest, please ask your trainer why you're making that movement. And a good trainer will be able to fire back exactly why. Okay. She will remind us that your comfort zone will kill you. And as we say here at Time to Shine today, we love to stretch that comfort zone. We don't want to get out of it so fast, but we want to stretch it to the point where you automatically grow right out of it and do things step by step, or like we say, inch by inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard. You didn't put on the 30 pounds in 2 months. Don't expect to take it off healthily in 2 months. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard. Someone like Sydnee will get you there. And my good friend Sydnee, let me make an introduction to you, because she does virtual as well. She lives a life of harmony. She loves her spouse. She loves her family. And I think she might love some really cheap meals every once in a while too. But we'll pass on that. But seriously, Sydnee, thank you for coming on. You've earned your varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. You level up your health. You level up your wealth. I'm blessed to know you. I can't wait to collaborate with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really loved our time today.
Yay! Love your guts. I'll talk soon.
Yay. Talk soon.